so hard.
It's like very awkward. Alright, camera's rolling.
It's awkward for me too. The only nice thing is I kind of forget about it. So. Okay. Where were we? We did corner post.
Yes. I should just like stick my face on there. Like,
You should imagine that someone is gonna have to watch that video and be like, listen to us talk. Like, that's gonna go. He's gonna look at us. He's gonna be like, yeah, that's totally really normal. It's gonna.
why are there two random kids talking about soccer games?
Here we go, guys. Guys, Kevin, you show up late and you play on your phone. California corner. You can see exactly how it works. This is how we are gonna build our corners. There's other methods. This one is by far the most superior. Why is it superior, guys?
It's so solid, right? The three pieces are together, right? Because of the flooring as well.
Yeah, gets you nailing on the inside. Gives you room for what?
Insulation.
Insulation. Cheap. There's a three one. There's many ways to do them. That's the best. I don't. The other ones you'll see if I can find a picture of it.
Go down. I think that was all the way to the left. Yeah.
This? No, it's just like rabbit it out. There's other methods which. Yeah. 3 corner stud, 4 corner stud. So what's the problem here?
No insulation.
Good. The transfer of cold. Thermal bridging is the key word for
So
today.
wood is really not a good insulator, right?
No. Have you done your R value for walls with Guillaume yet? Yeah, it's a wood 0. So you add up it's like a ratio, right? You add up, you have 16" on center, it's like you multiply it by whatever, it'll take off whatever you're missing because of all that wood. You know, so it's a real problem. We're trying to build these warm houses, and you get the urge to fill it up with wood. Even when I first started, you would build posts in the wall. So say you had a beam, you know the way we sat our beam in a little check in the foundation? Well, if you have one in a wall, you don't have a check in the wall, you're going to put a whole bunch of extra 2x6s in there to hold the beam up. And that I've done like 4 or 5 ply. That's putting a tree right in your wall. So what's coming in right there, you're getting a whole bunch of cold coming in. Cool. So this is how we do it. This guy right here.
Not just for the cold, but the heat too as well. Huh?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you just want to keep your house insulated, and like you'll see more and more they're going to start doing 24-inch walls too. You know, because it's just that much warmer. There's less wood in your wall, but your wall has to hold something up. So it's like
the bearing thing.
The bearing thing, yeah. Then maybe a little bit bigger studs, but it's the whole problem. You have like one team that's structural, like I said, that wants to build a solid wood wall, and then you have the other team that's environmentally friendly, and they want to have a nice wall that's as much insulation in there as possible. There's also, I did a job where you get into like, this is more kind of insulation stuff, but we did a 16-inch on center wall on the outside, insulated, vapor barrier, and then we built another wall on the inside on 24-inch centers, insulated, but all the plugs and everything went there, because one of the hardest things to do on an exterior wall is to get a nice tight seal around a plug on an exterior wall, right? You guys haven't done that yet?
Yeah.
You wrap it in plastic, you got to tape it all up with tape rouge and tape it all to your vapor barrier. Whereas that was like, screw it, build our outside wall with no plugs in it, so you don't have any leaks. And then your inside wall, so it's 2 walls, your inside wall, that's where you put all your plugs, your light switches and everything. You don't have to worry about any leaking or anything like that. Your vapor barrier is pristine on the outside, and then you're doing a double wall. So we talk about R20, so R12, 2x4 wall, okay, old school. R20, which is minimum for code for walls, 2x6. That's why we use 2x6, also they're stronger. But you can add more and more insulation as you want. You get into R2000 or LEED housing, you're talking a wall with, I don't know, R30, R40. Used to be R40 in ceilings. It's probably a little higher now. It's about 40. 40 is, that's a bat like that. It's a big thing, So if you want, if I'm building my dream house and I'm planning on retiring and dying there, man, I want to stuff as much wool in there as possible because it saves you money. It's expensive, all these insulating products, but they pay for themselves. You know, if Andrew has an R12 wall and you have an R20 wall, who's paying more in heat? You know, so you're spending more when you're building your house, but that's paid for over a few years or 10 years or whatever. So it's all kind of, it's like an investment in the future, you know, like, well, I pay more for my big thick wall now, but I'm going to be paying less heat, whereas Andrew will pay off his house quicker, but he's going to have hydro on his back. Yeah, that's the thing. So that's why you're worried when you buy an old house, like, you know, you go in and you can check their hydro to see what they pay in heat, because they don't have any wool in their walls. It's heat blowing at the window. You know, same with windows too. You put new windows in, your heat's gonna drop too, because you got a nice new argon filled window. You know. Okay, so corner post. All right. Components. We looked at that. Rough openings. I'm gonna show you a trick. Rough openings and measurements for a lintel. So, how much do we add to a rough opening for a window? Who said that?
Wasn't it an inch?
I go on fire today. It's just unstoppable. So you? Kevin, looks like you just rolled out of bed. Our lovely window, okay? Now we have to frame around this. When you start framing it, like I said, Michael, I'm going to put you in charge of headers. You're going to check your door window schedule, which is a list of all your doors and windows. They're going to be marked down on your plan. Usually with the plan, there's a little piece of paper, usually from the manufacturer. You're going to check all your measurements. The measurements that are given to you on the door window schedule are the exact measurements of the door window. From that, you have to figure out what your rough opening is. Okay? So for me, a really good way to do it for a window, let's say, or a door on an exterior wall. It's going to be different on the interior. An exterior wall, you're going to add what? Michael, come on. You just answered me.
What's it mean?
You fucked up that one.
Why is everybody being so quiet all of a sudden? So what's this? You guys picking this up? This kind of looks weird, eh? My window. What's this space right here? Half inch. Okay? So, if my window's 36 inches, what's my rough opening?
37.
Hey, you guys are on it today, man. Okay, so, you add a half inch. Why do we add a half inch? Why do we put a space around the window?
It's never exact measurements. You could give you like play, let's say adjustments, let's say it doesn't sit right, you can level it up.
Yeah, exactly. Gives you a bit of shimming. Stuff happens when we're rough framing. Again, if we're doing exterior walls, it's rough framing. It's not going up like a piano, right? It's going to be a little inconsistent, a little off. So you add an inch just to give yourself some play. You also add an inch or a half inch on each side for shimming. You need to come in. Again, you said if your wall is off level a bit, if you're off diagonally, your window's perfectly diagonally perfect, right? So you're gonna drop it in that hole, so you might have to tweak it a little bit. You want your windows to go in perfectly level. If your wall, for some reason, if your floor went in a little crooked, if something's a little crooked, you have some play. You don't want to frame your window at 36 by 36 and try and put that window in, right? It's not going to go too well. So you give yourself a bit of play, you give yourself an inch around the whole window. Now when you put that window in, you're going to shim, right? You're going to use minimum shims as possible. Remember down below I showed you how to cut your shims. You don't install your window with that full piece of shim, because as you sandwich those shims in, what do you have to do? You have to cut it all off and you have to trim around it, okay? So it's a pain in the butt to cut all those shims. You guys haven't hooked doors yet, but you sit there with your X-Acto knife and cut that shim apart on both sides. It's a pain in the butt. So, for that reason, we cut shims down to about an inch and a half, like we were going down below. Run your X-Acto knife along it, cut it with the grain, stuff them in your coat. That's how you hang a window. Another reason why we don't want to use that big shim is is that cold coming in. You want to have minimum wood in that wall. All you need to do is shim and put a screw in, or most modern windows will have a clip that goes on the inside that holds the window in place. Used to be, you'd shim, adjust your window, make sure it's perfect, and you'd screw it in, and that was about it. As modern practices take over, it's turning into more kind of tack your window in place, and then what really holds your window in place. So you're gonna hang your windows, you're gonna install your doors, all your stuff's installed. You fire up a can of the Moose, urethane Moose. You urethane all your windows in. That pretty much glues all your doors and windows in place. So more and more these days, you're gonna have a clip. You pretty much put your window in. Doesn't take long to install windows. You can do it in one quick morning. You put your window in, and there's a little clip that goes on the inside right against the stud. You screw that in, and that holds your window in place. You hardly need to put shims anymore. You're gonna maybe put sometimes you'll put a little strip of wood, a little baguette in your door, because sometimes the urethane will close the jam, it'll jam the door closed. So you just kind of make sure that everything's nice so it doesn't move too much when you put that Moose in. Okay, urethane insulation, miracle of modern technology that we use on the job all the time. Okay, so if we have a window opening of 36, then our rough opening is 37, right? Kevin figured that out for us. Now, what size is our header then?
Heather,
On top.
is it 10,
39.
2 by 10?
No, you have to add more, you have to add the wood.
It's 2 by 10?
The lintel. The lintel.
The lintel.
39.
40. Ah, that.
Yeah, 40.
Okay, 40.
So,
Stupid, yeah.
rule of thumb, a normal window, normal door, you have 2 jacks. Right? If you get farther, the farther you get, you might have to add jacks. You get up to like 8 feet, you have to have 2 jacks on each. But a normal door, a normal window, on a normal job, on a normal day, is 2 jacks. So when you take the size of your window, you have a 36-inch window, you add 4. The 4 is an inch and a half, your 2 jacks, you're at 3 inches, add another inch for your rough opening, for your inch and a half, for your half inch on each side of the window. So, I should be able to, at the end of the day, say, Michael, you have a 36-inch window, how long is your header? 40 inches. It's as simple as that. And what that enables you to do is you don't want to screw up your windows, right? If you frame this too small, it's a nightmare. If you go to install your windows and somebody screwed up and read the schedule wrong, it's a nightmare. You can just imagine. You got to cut into, you're renovating. You just built a brand new wall and you're renovating already. So to be sure of that, if you have a 36-inch window, you know you had 4 inches. Rule of thumb, you had 4 inches for your header. You can't get it wrong, because if you cut your header at 40 inches, you can't build it any differently. Your jack's going to go there, your king's going to go right on the side, you're going to nail it in there, you're going to nail these 2 together, and it gives you 37 inches for your rough opening.
If you're framing like this, you really got to cut straight with a circular saw.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you really start doing any random funky cuts,
Yeah.
kind of like disoriented.
You want to, well, that's the problem. Like I keep saying with this settling, right? The rougher the framing is, the more settling you're gonna have. The more spaces you have missing against that stud and that top plate, the more spaces you have anywhere, the more that's gonna settle. Over the years, it's gonna squish down and settle. So ideally, your studs are pre-cut. You normally buy them pre-cut, 91 1/4. You don't have to cut all your studs. Your plates, everything like that, you're gonna cut. So yeah, it takes some skill saw. Either you pull out the chop saw, or be very, very precise with the skill saw. But the more precise you are, the tighter that house is gonna be, the less settling you're gonna have. Problem is, money, reality, the real world. You're gonna get guys that frame with chainsaws. You're gonna get guys that put these things together really, really quick. And there's movement, there's adjustment, there's settling that goes on way more than if you had a really high-end house. I'm a bit of a fancy carpenter. I have trouble keeping up with real framers because I'm splitting 16ths, I'm cutting super precise. Whereas a framer, he knows the tolerances, that's what these guys do. But the rougher the house, the less quality the house. So yeah, you got to be really precise, like you were saying. You know, you go to put a 36-inch window, and this is crooked a bit because you cut all the studs with a chainsaw. It's not going to work out too well. It's not going to finish too well, you know? So I kid you not, there's guys that take a pallet of wood with a chainsaw and cut all the studs to length. There's guys that frame roofs with chainsaws, okay? If you end up on the job with one of those guys, you might want to go work somewhere else, but it's pretty rough, man, okay? You'll see it out there, I promise you.
So there you add, it's always 4 inches because you add 1 inch for each blade, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like Martin
Half inch on each side and the top and bottom, to the point where when you install a window, you'll go around and you'll put in little inch blocks. Because they want insulation in there. That half inch is there for a reason. You don't want to sit your window right on the rough sill because you'll never get any insulation in there. That means the 2x4 or the 2x6 for your rough sill, that's getting cold coming right in. That's getting a little bit of thermal bridging, and then just the window sitting on there, there's nothing in between, so you're going to get a bit of a draft in there. I mean, you can caulk it or whatever. So for that reason, when you install your window, you'll go around, you'll go around with a whole bunch of little half-inch blocks and put a block in all over the place. So when you sit your window, it's a whole lot easier. To make it level, you might have to put a little bit of, you might have to bang a little shim in there just to get it nice and level and nice and plumb, and then that's it. And then when you shoot your moose, I'll even change colors for moose. When you shoot your moose in there, when you go with your urethane, then it seals all around there. It seals all around there. It seals around there. It seals around there. It seals all around your window. You get no drafts coming in at all, and it's glued in place with that, and it's nice and tight.
And you take off those little pieces of wood there. You just use a screw.
These are screwed in beforehand. Because you know you added a half inch, your top and your bottom, your sides and your top and your bottom. So you want that half inch. So instead of sitting your window, because sometimes it's not a light window. Like imagine installing that and installing that. So you come along, but normally what you would do is you would take your little blocks, not big. I think it's 1.5 inches, 2 inches. In code, they don't want you to go any bigger than that because of thermal bridging. Yeah, you don't want too much wood anywhere in your wall. Minimum. So you're going to put a block there, you're going to put a block there, you're going to put a block there, and you're going to put a block there. So when you go to put your window in, meaning you're lifting the window, right? You're going to sit it there, and you're going to pop it in the hole. We're already up our half inch. All you have to do is check it for level, maybe put a little bit of a shim in one end or whatever, make it all nice, check your diagonal, make sure everything's nice, everything works. You have a little clip that you clip in there, and that's about it, man. And then you're going to leave it. You're going to do all your doors and windows. Take you a morning, not even 2 guys. Get them all in. Once you're done, it's 15 minutes to noon. You're almost ready for lunch. They're all sitting nice. I usually try them out. You'll open them, make sure they're not binding, make sure everything works properly. Open the door, make sure everything's cool, everything's nice. Go around. Or sometimes you'll get the urethane guys to do it because they usually come in to do those joist cavities down below. So in their contract, they say how much to go around and do all the windows. Or you do them yourselves, you buy a can, or they have it's like a propane tank full of it now. You want to do bigger jobs? Costs you like $300-400, but that's pretty much it. You move it all in, which is a really nice phase of the job because now you're closed in, you're insulated. So you go from working in -20 to sweeping snow off your site to kind of being heated. Like when we teach insulation, you guys always complain this is kind of boring. Like, you'd be happy to do it. You frame outside for 2 weeks, running around, freezing cold, and then your boss says, "Okay, tomorrow, guys, we're insulating the house." To me, you're off the tools, kind of. It's kind of slack work. Gives you a little break. You go in on a Friday. It's like all you're doing is stuffing wool in the wall. You'll start bundled up. By the time you're done, at the end of the day, having 3-4 guys working in the same house, putting wool in, the house is warmer already. You're starting to be a house. You're way more comfortable. Where you're sitting at lunch, you're sitting in the house. It's a bit warmer. It's just like putting the floor on. You go from working in your billy boots, dealing with framing your floor, moving up on the floor to having a table, to having a break table, a meeting table, a drawing table, and then when you build your house, hey, all of a sudden you have heat. Electrician showed up. You have temporary lighting now. So you have lights. You can bring a microwave. You can bring a coffee machine. So as the house gets finished, you're getting a little more more civilized, you know, like it's really nice. And once the heat comes in, then it's huge. And then okay, you got a snowstorm. What are we doing tomorrow? Oh, we got 400 sheets of gyprock. You know, to me that was my favorite part of the job. The outside framing is tough work. You get it done, and then you're inside. And then what are you doing after gyprock and all that? You're doing finishing. My favorite. You're doing crown. You're doing copper ceilings. You're installing the kitchen. You're doing baseboard trim. You're hanging doors. You're doing whatever. So it's also another nice part of the job. Okay. So rough openings. Rule of thumb. What do we add to the window size?
4 inches.
4 inches. It's just a really good rule of thumb, the way to think about it, because you're getting your 2 jack posts over with right away. So if I tell you we have a 36-inch window, your header for sure is going to be 40. You can't go wrong. You're going to frame it up. It's going to fit perfectly. If you start mixing up the math, you don't want to mix this up. You don't want to go, oh, it's a ½ inch, so we need a 37-inch opening and measure all that up. Cut your header at 40. You're going to be, for sure, it's going to go in nice. Cool? Okay, that's pretty much exterior walls. Now, the way you assemble the exterior wall, again, we'll go over this, I guess, Monday, or maybe this afternoon if we go down below. No, this afternoon you're putting the roofs away. You guys will probably have to stay till 9 o'clock tonight to get it all done, too, so, yeah. What? There you go. You pay someone. Maybe I'm a really rich student. I just paid them.
Pay me too. Everybody pays. I'll do it happily.
Okay, guys, assembling a wall section. What you normally do is the easiest way to do it, Andrew, the easiest way to do it is start with your complicated spot. You start with the window and you frame out from there. Okay, sometimes you have to nail this king stud right to the side of your header. Can you see this all right? See how, oh yeah, see how you gotta get in there and nail? So as you get in there and nail, what if I put a stud right here?
You won't be able to now.
No, you're going to go, God damn it, there's a stud in my way. So instead of that, you're going to build all this first, right? This is built on the ground. Yan, I think, or Vincent built all these before. You drop these in place, you drop your header in. Everything has to be flush to the outside. Did you guys use the hook your nail trick when you were putting joists in? Be the same thing when you're putting a big header in. You don't want it to sit on the floor, right? Because let's say this is the outside of my house. My wall's going up like that, so I want my header flush on the outside. The inside, if I have a space, what can I do? I can get some wool in there, I can get some rigid insulation in there. So when you're framing your wall, our walls are standing up like that, we're framing our wall like that. So the header's towards the inside of the house, and you're going to drop that header in place, and you don't want it to sit on the floor, you want it to sit flush. So what do you guys do? You bend your little nails there, hold it in place, and you tack your king studs in right to the side of it, just like that. Put a whole bunch of nails right like that. So because of that, it's just easier to go from opening, door, window, and spread your way outside. It's also kind of getting the more complicated stuff over with, because it's the 16s are easy, you're just dropping studs in, right? So when you drop that window in, the header in, the rough sill, the cripplers, all that stuff, you build your whole kit, you put all this together, and then you spread out and continue with your 16s later on. You're most likely going to be doing this with a gun here, but on the job it's done with a gun. It's very, very quick work. You're going to put the stud in place, 2 nails, and you're done. Okay? You frame your whole wall. See here, he's got his space. He came in. What does he come in? How much? No.
Where's that?
This little space that he snapped on the floor. Right? He's going to come along. I'm going to show you tracing it. He's going to come along like we did, right? He's going to snap that line. If you're doing 2x4s, it's going to be 3.5. He's going to snap that line. He's going to take this plate. He's going to stick it together with this one. Why do we stick it together? Because we need the same tracing, right? We need to know where this jack stud's going to go, and we need to know where it goes up top too. Same with all the studs. So when you have these together, they're sandwiched together, and you're going to trace them both at the same time with the 2-foot square. So that's you lay out your 16s, you lay out your centers, everything. You have your 2 together, and then you split them apart. So you start down here, both your 2x4s tacked together, trace it all, everything's good. Then you split it apart. And then you add the middle. You add all your headers, you add everything. You build your wall, and then after that, then you come along, you drop your plywood on. Drop all your plywood on. You're going to sheathe it all. You're going to check for square. You put all your plywood on, your gun's gonna come out again, very repetitive nailing. What are you doing? Same thing like you were shooting your plywood onto the roof. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna build your wall, duck, 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 you're gonna shoot your plywood into every stud. And then after that, then you're gonna figure out where your windows are, you're gonna cut your windows out, or maybe leave them, normally you cut them out, and then you gotta fur all around your window, and you gotta put a furring strip right on each stud. You want some nice nailing, you're gonna kind of on a bit of an angle, because your furring strip's 2.5, right, so it's a little wider, so you're gonna shoot on a bit of an angle into all your studs, and you're gonna do your whole window. Why are we furring? No, we're outside. We're prepping for siding. So all you're doing is having nailing for siding. With the guys doing exterior finishing there, they're all furred. So when you come up to a house and do exterior siding, normally all your furring strips are done. You do with a bit of weatherproofing stuff, plywood, Tyvek, furring strips, and you're ready to lift your wall. Now, we do tiny little walls. Raising that wall is a bit of a hassle on a big job, because normally you're going to frame it in sections. So lifting a 30-foot 2x6 wall with all the plywood, all the headers and everything on it, gets pretty heavy. All right. So normally on the job, you're going to have everybody gather around. Sterling?
Ils sont jamais là. Les autres sont là. Félicitations.
Sterling?
He did the exam on Tuesday, but I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know.
I can see his bad cuts from here. Okay, so you're raising the wall. Raising the wall, you're going to grab every guy on the crew. All right, because they're really heavy. Okay, the bottom plate's still tacked in. Okay, when you sandwich them together at the bottom of the wall, you're going to tack it to the floor. All right, so when you split those apart, the bottom's still tacked in, because it's really hard to build a wall if that bottom keeps kicking out, right? So then you're going to go around, you're going to smack your hammer in there, you're going to crank it up, and you're going to stick a 2x4 underneath it. The only reason you're doing that is so you can get your hands in there. Your wall's sitting right on the floor, right? You can't get in there. You raise it up 1.5 inches. It's going to be the whole crew, all of us, all lined up. You go down, 1, 2, 3. You lift the wall. Once you get it past like 45, it gets a whole lot easier. You lift it right up. As you're lifting that wall up, your plywood extends past, right? So we're doing this again. Remember, it's going over and it's skirting over that joist. Find a picture of it. You know what I mean, though? So if you're doing an 8-foot wall, most likely you're going to have 9-foot sheets of aspen. You're going to have 9-foot sheets of plywood. So that 3.5 we came in, and you're over here. You're gonna fold that wall up so it goes whoop, and you're gonna cover that rim joist. Once you have the wall lifted up, quick, like quick little bunnies, you're gonna put bracing. You gotta hold that wall up. Okay? Sometimes you won't even raise walls if it's really windy, because it gets pretty hairy. You get those braces up, you tack it down. You're gonna plumb your walls. You're gonna go around maybe with a 6-foot level, or what you don't want to do is use a 4-foot level, because if your studs are off, it's going to say it's level, but if you have a crooked stud, it's not very good. What you want to do is have your top plate and your bottom plate in line with each other. Best way to do it on a modern construction site is have a laser. You have a dot laser that you measure with, but yeah, there we go. See what he's done? So he's got a little block at the top, and he's got a little block at the bottom. So if his stud's rounded, it doesn't matter at all. You can deal with a round stud later on when you go in to do interior finishing, before you insulate, before you vapor barrier. If you have any crooked studs, you're going to renovate them. I'll show you that later on, but you can kind of fix that. But you see, the idea is that you want your bottom plate and your top plate to be in line with each other. Again, the best way to do this is he's doing it with a straight edge. A straight edge can be anything, a really nice ripped piece of plywood, or I have a nice long one, it's about 12 feet long, it's like a metal piece, I use it for tiling a lot. And a straight edge is that's all it is, it's a straight edge. Like, so I always say to you guys, grab your straight edge. Like when you were using a level, just to see if your roof planed, remember doing all that? So you're not using it as a level, you're using it as a straight edge, all right? So again, it's a bit of this and a lot of that. So to line up this, he's going to check, make sure his bubble's nice and center, and all he's doing is checking that top plate, the double top plates, and he's checking his bottom plate to make sure that's all nice and in line. You do that pretty quick, Okay? Because you want to get that wall stable right away. Okay? It's super dangerous if it's flapping in the wind or whatever. You want to get it